CFF presents 1% Better, a podcast about
CrossFit, nutrition, coaching, mindset, and community.
Join us as we embark in casual conversation to shed light on what life is like within these black and yellow walls. With episodes coming at you every Monday, you can follow along with Coach Whitney and Taryn as we talk shop about all things CFF.
Sure.
Episode 63. I was trying to think of something like witty to put after 63, but I don't have anything. Just the fact that we're on episode 63. That's what we're on today. So today we're talking about, we're going to introduce a new program. Well, it's not really new. It's been running for a couple months, just kind of on the down low, but the 9-week level up. I'm just going to throw the title out there. 9-week level up, 63 days long.
Can we say that?
Hey, 63 days long. The program is 63 days long, and this is episode 63. There we go. Wendy's rolling her eyes at me right now.
It's hard not to. Can we say that it's on the down low because it's not for everybody?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
And in a sense that, like, the commitment to make change needs to be like there. We've talked about like nutrition clients being ready, willing, and able, that sort of thing. But like this requires you to hit all those check boxes before you tackle something like that.
I think, I think one of the like recurring conversational points I have with some of the clients that we've already been working with is like, you know, you go through those peaks and valleys where when you're on the peak, all the cylinders are firing. It feels like life is very easy when you're at those peaks. And then for whatever reason, stuff happens and then we hit that valley and it just feels so hard to get out of that valley. And so then you go with what you know, right? Or things that you have done in the past. And all of a sudden those things or those programs or those people or whatever it might be that maybe you were successful with, or even if you weren't successful, it's just like your experience of doing that before, it's comfortable. So you try it again and it's not as successful as it was the first time. And you just get like deeper into that valley and you just don't know how to get out. Those are the type of people that would do well with this type of program. And that seems to be kind of the recurring conversational point that I have when I have people coming to me that are interested in the next level, right? Mm-hmm. It's what I've done worked or may not have worked at some point in my life, but where I am right now, I need something more. And I'm going to use the word more instead of different.
The word bigger came to my mind.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm not going to use different because really, it is a lot of the same things that we were already doing with people, just the more like global practice of these things and the level of intensity of which you commit to it is just so much greater. And I know that is why this is such a successful program for people. Mm-hmm. It is a very certain type you in a very specific type of situation. You know, and not to say that as you're listening to this, you're like, oh, that's not me. It very well could be you. You just might not know that you're in this position yet.
Right.
That was a long-winded explanation.
But appropriate and necessary.
Yeah.
So what is it? Since we haven't even talked about what it is.
The 9-week level up. So, let's start from the beginning, right? The process is kind of the same, just like people have a problem or they want to create some type of change. And you know what? The conversations 9 times out of 10 start with, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to lose X amount of pounds, or I want to fit into these pants. But once we get deeper into that conversation, you understand that the weight loss goals or the body composition goals are really so superficial that the stuff underlying it is way more important. And that's the stuff that you got to anchor yourself to.
And do you think those goals come out first? Because I'm going to assume that they come out first.
Like, which, the superficial ones?
Yes. Like they're the ones that when you ask people their goals, oh, I want to lose whatever amount of pounds, or I want my deadlift to increase by 20 pounds, whatever. Do you think that's because of the setting that we're in, that they make that assumption that that's like what you and I focus on? Do you think that plays a role in that?
I'm going to go 50-50.
Okay.
So 50, I agree with you.
Mhm.
50%, I think it's their own level of awareness of what it is that they truly want, and what is truly driving them. Right.
Mhm.
A lot, like as human beings, I feel like we're so superficial about a lot of things. And in respect, like we want to lose weight because we want to look better for our significant other or whatever it might be. Right. And those are all superficial things, but
and not wrong.
Yeah, not wrong.
Like
Like there's nothing. Yeah, exactly. But when you start kind of digging underneath that, you find, you have a mom sitting in front of you, and it's this mom who puts all their time into the kids and has no time left for themselves where they can focus on themselves, and makes them feel like they don't have a purpose in their life. Or it's the man sitting in front of me who just wants to be a better husband and a better man overall, and needs to live a lifestyle that replicates that, because what he was doing in the moment was not that. So, there's many different, everybody's going to have their own underlying drive, but I think that the majority of the people just aren't even aware of that, or may not even know how to get to that level of understanding of what is driving them. And I think that, again, I know because I've gone through this myself. I've done this for 10 years. I've worked with many people, even just watching the people that are currently in this program, is when you can anchor yourself to those, and this is such a cliche term, but those deeper whys, then it makes things that you do from your day-to-day basis more meaningful. I want to lose 10 pounds. So I know that I can't have McDonald's, or I need to stop drinking alcohol. You're still going to be tempted to do those things. And there's going to be times where you fall off the wagon and you do those things. But you listen to one of my clients say, that is not a behavior that a healthy husband would do for his family, in terms of what he values and sees. And so therefore it makes it much easier for him to make those decisions, because he's trying to emulate what he views as a healthy husband, healthy man, that type of thing. And I think that is so cool. I love when you can really pull that out of people, and it 9 times out of 10 is so emotional for them too. And me too, sitting there, because I know how important it is to them, and it might be a revelation moment for them too, when they realize no, this is what I actually want.
And I think that's why I stated at the beginning that this isn't for everyone, because you have to be in a position to unpack that and be open and accepting to those deeper whys, and to be driven by those deeper things. Versus I just want to lose 10 pounds. Great, cool. We can help you do that. But this is for people who want to make big change. In bigger area, or improve. And
so I stopped using the word change. I started using the word transformation, because that's truly what it is. It is a life transformation. We talk about creating change and changing this and change. When you look at it from this perspective, change is almost easy. As where the transformation part of it, that is the long haul, right? The change comes in 9 weeks. The transformation comes in 12 months. And I love that word. It packs so much power. And so to be the type of person that is ready to take this on, like you said, I liked what you said, unpack this. You have to be ready to unpack that. It's tough.
And I think the intake process that you have, in terms of right from the initial conversation to the onboarding homework that's required and all of that stuff, I think your intake process allows you to see who is ready to take on all of that. And then your onboarding process allows that unpacking to start to happen.
So we always start with what we call now a discovery call. And it's basically I just want to get to know where you are, what you're thinking, why you're inquiring about this, just to kind of see where your mindset is. And then if I deem that this program is for you, then we move into that sort of the next consultation process. And that's quite a lengthy conversation because it does take that time to get you to open up, to look that deep. So like you mentioned, that once somebody does commit to the program, they're going to come in and sit down, and it's going to take about an hour to go through an onboarding process. So you make your commitment to the program, and I'm going to send you some onboarding homework where we go through, like, I need to know your whys. We're going to break down some goals for the next 9 weeks. We're going to talk body composition stuff. We're going to talk habits, routines, nutrition, like daily movement. You know, I want to know what your life looks like today, start to finish, and then what you want your perfect day to look like so that we can start to bridge that gap. I always tell my clients when they're going to sit down for this onboarding homework that I need you to go somewhere where you can like isolate yourself, like put your phone in a different room, do this when the kids aren't at home, or go to Starbucks where you can just be by yourself. And that way it really allows you to like tap into what's going on the inside. And then you're going to have the best answers possible, right? When you're not distracted or influenced by what's going on around you. I love reading through this stuff. I know like you have some clients that you're working with too. And like, just when you can hear or read somebody's like true thoughts and emotions and like desires, it's almost like you can feel it when you're reading it. And it's awesome. Like, I love working through that and just, okay, cool. Let's get this person here.
Yeah. And I think and again, I think this program allows for this to happen, and the onboarding process allows for this to happen. But I like that there are those bigger things in their lives outside of losing 10 pounds or getting into shape and stuff like that. And I love that this allows us to help them in those ways.
Yeah. Like, did you ever, somebody working on creating social media content is one of our clients' things. And it's like, oh, you're working with the gym to do these things. And you know what, it's really like, these are habits and routines we're trying to build regardless of what the objective is. It makes it almost way more interesting and fun for me because like I can have 3 clients in a day who I have my coaching sessions with, and they are so black and white from each other in terms of like what the approach looks like and the things that they're doing on a day-to-day. It's so fun.
Well, and I like too that it allows you to not just have the impact in terms of nutrition and fitness. Yeah.
Which are so small in the grand scheme of things.
And I would say in the grand scheme of things, the easier things to be consistent with. It's easy to show up when you have a PT scheduled. It's easy, and I say this loosely, but it's easy to dial in your nutrition when you've been focusing on it. But it is hard to make these bigger life changes, to create time for yourself, to figure out where you want to spend your time and how you find joy in your life and what drives you and what motivates you and what big goals you're going to be working on. Like, those are the hard things. So I think this opens up that area for us to help them focus on that. And I find that enjoyable. Which
creates the transformation, right? In the consultation process, we talk about an iceberg, and again, a cliche image, but like, it is so powerful when you think about it. At the top of the iceberg that's sticking outside of the water, that's the transformation and the achievement that people want to see. When we start to uncover like what goes into that, the first thing we talk about is, you know what, your environment is so important. That if we're going to take on this huge transformation piece, I need to know that like you already know that I'm in your corner and I'm going to be with you day to day, helping you achieve these things. But what happens when you go home in those other 165 hours in your week? I need to know that whoever is surrounding you is going to be your biggest cheerleader too. So that's like one of my first questions is, how supportive is the environment around you? Okay. Then we go into like, what are we actually going to do? And people think that this is where they need to start. But if you don't have the environment set and ready for you to be successful, it doesn't matter what you line up next. That's going to be a struggle for you. So we talk about like fitness and nutrition being small pieces of the puzzle. We talk about habits and routine because we need to be able to do these things over and over and over again and stack them in ways that make us be successful. So those 4 pillars of it, in what on the outside world seems like really big things to tackle, within this program, they're actually the smallest pieces.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest piece is the next step is developing that mindset that like, you know what, we can have a supportive environment. We can have all the pieces of the puzzle set out for us. But if you're not in a mindset that is ready to create this transformation, again, like I can give you all the tools, but you got to have it together between the ears. And so part of what we do in this 9-week level up is help people work on their mindset. And I think from a gym perspective, and, you know, having done this for 10 years, this was a part that was never something that I was able to offer before. Like I had worked with sports psychs and stuff, and I had that education in terms of like what works and what could help people, but it was never offered. Right. And so I love that in this type of commitment, we can tackle that now. It's arguably my favorite part of the whole process.
Well, I think it just adds that layer of investment, right?
Yep.
Like we're invested in our members, like more than I'm going to say 90% of gyms are, but this just allows us to be even more invested in them, which is cool.
And like you think about the gym, and we've said this on different episodes in different topics, but you think about the gym being the most important part of your day or your week, that hour of your workout. But out of those 168 hours in your week, that's only 3. So we need to make sure that what you do in those other 165, that we're taking the most control over that time and making it the most productive that we can, so that you can start to step momentum towards where you want to be. So we go through this whole onboarding process. You come and sit down with me or whoever for, you know, it takes about an hour where we just kind of like go through that homework and we pick it apart. You give me your goals or you give me your whys. We create some goals for the next 9 weeks. And then we break apart what your day currently looks like and start to develop action points for each day throughout your week. We have a great tracking system. I love this tracking system. It's probably one of the better ones, best ones that I've ever been able to offer in terms of like the feedback that it can create. Like you can objectively see how successful you have been because it's tracking it and spits out a percentage. And I think I like it because one of the questions I always ask before in my nutrition consultations was like, rate your compliance, you know, because you have that client sitting here who may not be enthralled about their results on the InBody or et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, rate your compliance. Well, as human beings, we're going to grossly overestimate how successful we actually were. Like we're never going to truly admit our shortcomings, right? And that's just us as a society. But like now I can actually see the work that you did, right? If you were 56% successful this week because you only checked off 56% of the boxes, well, then we know where we can make some improvements. So there's direct feedback, and that is very valuable. And I'm a numbers person, so I attach to that and I try and better that on the next week. Doesn't work for everybody that way, but
no, I think it combines what you've done in the past, what we have currently used for like nutrition stuff. It's like combined. And now it's like in a nice little package. And
that's why, I like it. It's a lot of what we were doing, plus some more in-depth things.
Oh, for sure. But just housed in one central spot, which is nice to have that. It's nice to have on our end. It's nice to have on the client's end as well. So what happens after the onboarding? Like we've broken down the person's day, we've set goals, we've set nutrition goals, we've set movement goals, exercise goals, we've set scheduling stuff, and we focused on the habits we're going to start to implement and create. What happens in terms of execution?
So we book in their sessions or their whatever their fitness aspect is going to look like, whether it's with us or in the group or somewhere else. We have some remote clients doing this as well. Then we book in recurring weekly coaching sessions. And what those are is 15 to 20 minute meetings where you come in and you sit down with one of the coaches and we kind of dissect what happened last week. So we want to know the wins. We want to know where the struggles were. What went really well, like what felt easy, what didn't feel easy. And like, how can we start to look at what we're going to do next week to build upon those things that were easy, but then maybe we need to kind of change our routine cycle around the things that you were struggling with, right? We're also going to build in I have a plan, prepare step. So we need to plan out certain things. I have an action step. So I want you to like, we pick a specific thing that has to happen as like a global aspect to your week. But then knowing that we're putting such an intensity of commitment into this program, we also have to factor in some fun time. So the third action point that I always put for my clients is fun. And that fun can be like time where you designate for yourself, or maybe it's a date with your kids. You know, it looks a little bit different for everybody. And then too, based on what they're trying to get out of the program. But I think just kind of separating, like, yes, I want you to go full blow into this, but we also got to make sure that you're enjoying yourself while we're doing this, and you give yourself something to look forward to within the super scheduled and routine set week. So again, too, like coming from different clients, I love that one because that too is so different. My remote client last week, her fun thing was, I'm going to Universal Studios with my kid. I was like, that is awesome.
Yes. Yeah, that's cool.
And so, yeah, we find that like this added layer of accountability where you're coming in on a weekly basis. And I do have touch points with these clients throughout the week also, just because it's, again, the accountability part that makes this so successful. You know, our clients that come in and speak with us, whether it's on Zoom or they sit face to face, see that success because they know, like, all right, I get to redo this, or I get to revamp this, and I'm looking forward to which ways I can be challenged next week. Even when I do my own, like when I look back on my own tracker and I'm trying to set it up for the next week, you know, I got to have that accountability to myself, like being able to look back and be like, okay, I sucked at this. This was really hard for me. What can I do to pick this apart next week so that I can be, you know, even 1% more, like if I can check mark one more box next week, that's a win. Things aren't going to change overnight on a week by week basis, right? It's going to take some time, and you have to understand that. So, yeah. And then just like working with that coach to build that plan for the next week. And I think just on a continuous basis, that's how we get better at this stuff. And now this person is being actionable about, you know, their intentions. They set out with, I want to accomplish XYZ. Now we're like physically building that in, but that plan looks so detailed because we're trying to control as much of those 168 hours as we can. I love it. And then, you know what, like somewhere in the middle of the progress, we do get you to sit down and then look back from like outside the box on all of your progress. If on day one you set out with these goals, like we're now 5 or 6 weeks into this, how much progress, like where are you in regards to where you started out with and what you wanted to accomplish? You know, the fact that you can look back and find those wins and know that, hey, I'm not where I started, that's good, right? You may not be at the overall goal yet, even at the end of 9 weeks, the chances of you being there, and I'm just going to be brutally honest about this, are very slim, because a transformation of this type is like a 6 to 12 month commitment. You just have to be upfront and honest with yourself about that. Like you didn't get to the position that you're in overnight or in 9 weeks either. So it's pretty tough to expect that in 9 weeks, things are going to be black and white from where you started. So we have this process where we want you to look back, step outside the box, objectively look at how far you've come, you know, look at the people within your life. So when you tell me that you have this supportive environment around you, who in that environment would something like this benefit, you know? And it's so weird. Like when you ask people, like essentially that's a referral question. Like I'll just say that out loud. Right. But it's so weird. It's like, people don't want to admit that their friends could use help like this, but yet you're doing them a favor. Like maybe they themselves don't have the courage to seek this kind of help, but you know that this could benefit them. Like step up and put them there. You're doing them a huge favor.
We have one client, and it's funny that you say this because she comes to mind because she messaged me today, who is always saying, I have this one friend, how do I help her get here? Like over and over again.
That's amazing.
It's super awesome. It's so cool. And it's like, and she said to me before, like, I think it's my duty in this lifetime to help people get here.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? Yeah. It's super cool. Like she feels like that is her job, to get people here.
Wow.
And she's so specific because she knows it needs to be moms who need this, busy moms. They need to get here. They need to experience this. They need this for themselves. It's so cool. So cool. We have cool members.
excuse me while I just like,
speechless, pick your job up.
yeah, excuse me while I pick my job.
Isn't that cool? Sorry, I just have to throw that in there on that little note.
That is amazing.
Yep. It is cool. You can't process that, can you?
I'm like actually speechless right now. That means the world to me that somebody feels like that. And I also think it's amazing that they feel that way. Like just how you said, it's my duty to, like, man, that's powerful shit right there.
Speechless. You're not speechless very often. I did it. This member did it. As an aside, while you process that,
I lost my train of thought.
I know you did. I think when this process presents these opportunities and to like deep dive into these goals, but I have also had a client who came in with this goal, and as we're starting to like unpack this stuff and create these action steps and break down this bigger goal, through this process, she has realized that that's actually not her goal anymore.
Oh, wow.
Like that's not calling her anymore. And this search to figure out what greater purpose, because she serves many purposes in her life. So what greater purpose she can contribute to the world is now part of this whole thing, which I think is super cool. Like as much as like her big goal was there, I think finding something deeper and now this process that she's on via this 9 weeks is really cool.
It's almost like a level of maturity.
Very much so. It's just been a very cool journey. So when you say, are you going to achieve your goal by the 9 weeks? Probably not. And this client comes to mind because it's like, well, heck no, because we're now figuring out what that new goal is. And this process that we can take to help guide us there is now making it a little bit easier versus like, now what do I do? But we are taking steps each week to kind of deep dive into like, what am I going to do to serve others and have passion about, which I think is cool.
Man. I'm like, this is awesome. I always think like, what would I put if I was on the other side? And I mean, I've done my own, right? But it's different when you do your own and you're the one also on the other side, reading it and then dissecting it. I wonder if like, I just always wonder what I would put not being in the position that I'm in right now, if that makes sense. You know, I wonder what would be important to me or what I think would be important to me.
I don't think you can answer that question.
I know I don't. I just wonder. It's okay to wonder. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I just, the opportunity that this has created and the way in which we've put it together and the way in which it is executed and the way in which the client commits to it. There's many different moving pieces, but you start with like this, I want this transformation, and then we can pick it apart to the very like hourly, minuscule, day by day necessary things to do. And so I think too, you go about your day by day and you're nailing the check marks left and right. And it's like your focus is so focused on that day-to-day thing, right? And I don't want to say you forget about the global thing, but like you become more successful because all you're thinking about is, all right, I need to do XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And then when we come back on the weekly basis and we look at this weekly macro cycle, right? And then all of a sudden it just gets put into picture a lot easier.
I think just the evolution that happens on so many
That's a great
levels.
word, evolution. Thanks. It's like Webster today.
Rocking it. But just on so many levels, like to watch people's goals evolve, to watch them transform and evolve as themselves as human beings. And yeah, it's cool.
And it doesn't mean that any of the other programs that we offer are any less valuable, right? Like it's all dependent on like where you are in your journey, you know? And it's just, we had people, and I know that there are people out there also who want this higher level dedication. No, it's not the right word. This higher level, like
development.
Yeah, development. Yeah, to what they're trying to do, and just now that we have the way to do that, the clients that we're working with currently are seeing immense success just because.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it comes back to a line that we've used often is like, we'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
And we have so many tools and resources to do that.
Yeah. And even at the very basis of this program, like if mindset isn't something that you're ready to work on right now, and you just need to get your habits and your routines set in better order, and you want to be more committed about it, there's no reason why we can't set a tracker up for you and work you through this process too on its elementary basis, right? Like
you just did that for me.
Yeah, like literally right before this podcast happened, that's what I did.
It's literally the basics.
Yeah, what I did with Coach Whitney on for herself too.
Yeah.
You know, so it really doesn't matter where, we can make this work. Mm-hmm. In terms of like our current members, this is obviously something you can upgrade your membership to. But then anyone coming in from the outside as well, being immersed in this program in any degree, you know, mm-hmm. there's different levels to it. Mm-hmm. It all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. This is probably, so I spoke a little while ago about the alcohol habit I was trying to kick because my Whoop went nuts on me and yelled at me. This was a big contributor to that success for me, was rerouting my habits, routines, you know, just like rerouting my day to day, knowing that I had these now health goals because of where my stress alcohol had got. I laugh about it now, but I'm like, man, I'm kicking myself. Like, what a dummy.
It happens. It happens.
And I think just working myself through this process is like 90% why I was so successful, reversing that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Cool.
There we go.
63 days for episode 63.
That's bad.
9 weeks. You know what? Like, let's talk about 9 weeks. Why 9 weeks? Like, I chose 9 weeks to the program because A, as human beings, we like being committed to something for a number, mm-hmm. right? B, you come into it knowing that it's a 6 to 12 month commitment, even though we're going to work on these specific things for 9 weeks. Yeah. 9 weeks keeps us interested. There's 2 months and 1 week where I just need you to go full force into what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You get addicted to the process and you don't even care about it being labeled as 9 weeks after that. Yeah. It's literally just got to open my spreadsheet, got to work through this stuff. Here's my day-to-day, scheduled in, factored in. So I almost want to say it's an arbitrary number. It does have some strategy to it, but 9 weeks, 63 days in the grand scheme of things is really not that long.
No.
But it's long enough to create some momentum, to make some basic change, to then progress you forward into that longer commitment. All right. Listener questions. You got any?
I don't know.
I'm going to come at it from this, like, for those of you that are members, whether you're a long-term member or a short-term member, like, what was your whys when you started? Like, when you first came in for your No Sweat Inch, or if you're an older member and you haven't been through that process, like, what was your why when you started? And then how does it compare to sort of your driving factors behind why you're still doing it today? And then I would get you to step outside the box and look at those whys a little bit more objectively. Could they be deeper than what you list? And sometimes you may not know how to do that, how to provoke that out of yourself. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Well, I think another question too, that falls along the lines of this is like, are you getting everything out of your life that you Boom. Like, are you happy with what you're getting out of your life, or do you want more?
Yeah. That's so funny you say that. Yesterday, I was writing a thing about adaptability and complacency. One I strive for and one I strive to eliminate. Mm-hmm. And this is a perfect place for those that don't want to be complacent.
Yeah.
I want to work with those individuals. Let's go. So yeah, like, are you getting the most out of what you're trying to do?
Yeah. And are you happy about that? Or do you want more?
One of the questions is, are you happy? Like, in the process, in this whole like setting up process, is, are you truly happy? You know what? I've never had somebody say yes. Food for thought.
Yep.
All right, episode 63, 9-week level up. Send us your answers to the listener questions this week. You know how to do that, whether you send us a message on our socials, email or text. Other than that, make sure you follow our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We will see you next week. This is episode 63. CFF presents 1% Better, a podcast about
CrossFit, nutrition, coaching, mindset, and community.
Join us as we embark in casual conversation to shed light on what life is like within these black and yellow walls. With episodes coming at you every Monday, you can follow along with Coach Whitney and Taryn as we talk shop about all things CFF.